5 questions people always ask cops. Hey guys, what's going on? I hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday so far. I was having a really hard time coming up with a video topic for this week. So what I did was I went to the Discord server and I went to the Ask a Cop section and I just picked out 5 random questions, but they're very commonly asked in the law enforcement field. Number 1, can police officers escort you during an emergency? The short answer is no. Most officers are not going to turn on their lights and sirens and escort you anywhere. There's a reason for that, and it's called liability. If I pull you over for speeding, you tell me that you're going to the hospital, and then I get in front of you, lights and sirens, and we go to the hospital, but on the way we get into an accident. That liability then falls on me. Aside from that, the majority of the public has never done any type of emergency vehicle driving or operations. So I would feel really uneasy about someone trying to keep up with me while I'm going code 3. Not to mention, their car does not have lights and sirens, which in itself is a safety risk. Because the first thing that's going to happen is as soon as I clear the intersection, traffic's going to continue again. Well, if they're continuing while you're trying to get into the intersection, that's just asking for a crash. There have been officers that have delivered babies on the side of the road because they would not want to escort that person to the hospital, lights and sirens. It wouldn't look too good if the car behind you got into an accident while this lady's legs were up and she was about to pop out a watermelon. Number 2, do the police have to read people their rights every time someone's arrested? The short answer is no. I can't tell you guys how many times I have arrested somebody and taken them to the jail, and as the jail staff is taking them into the back, they're laughing and they're like, I'm gonna get off. The judge is gonna let me off because you, sir, didn't read me my rights. And usually the typical response from me is also laughter. Now, why would I be laughing back? It's simple, because there's 3 factors that have to be met in order for Miranda to have to be read. Obviously, the first factor is that you are being arrested by the police. Being detained and questioned by a security guard at the mall does not require Miranda. Number 2, you have to be under arrest. If you don't have handcuffs on, you're not sitting in the back of a car, if you don't have reasonable belief that you're under arrest, then there's nothing wrong with the officer asking you questions. Lastly, the questions have to pertain to the crime at hand. An officer asking you your name and date of birth does not constitute having to read Miranda. So, in order for us to be required to read Miranda, those 3 factors, well, we all know we're the police, so those 2 factors, knowing that you're under arrest and knowing that you're being questioned at the crime at hand, have to be in effect before Miranda is required. Question number 3. How do the police feel about phone applications that pinpoint our location like Waze? I personally think a lot of older officers are kind of scared at the fact that the public might know where we're at or be able to pinpoint our location. And I can see where this might be a little bit of a security issue, but most of the time an officer is not going to be sitting in one spot for too long. Most officers sit in one spot for an average of 2 to 10 minutes tops before they're catching the next speeder, and then they change locations. We do that on purpose because we know about these apps. We know that they're out, and a lot of times we'll just run moving radar. So we'll be shooting radar as we're going down the road, and there's no way to pinpoint us. And one of my head moderators actually made a very good point on the Discord server. And she said, if people think that I am in a certain spot because that's what's pinpointed on this application, I did my job. You're still deterring speeding. And I thought that was brilliant. That's very true. Question number 4, do officers have to pay for their own equipment when it gets damaged? I actually saw one of my other moderators who is a verified law enforcement officer saying, no, that is why we have insurance. But it is not like that everywhere. The last department I worked at required me to pay for things on the car when something was my fault.
This is bullshit.
I remember one time I popped a curb trying to catch a suspect. I went flying through the projects. We ended up getting them, but they were trying to charge me for the damage that was done underneath the car, even though it was already pre-existing damage. Obviously, I fought that one and won it, but there have been other things that I've had to pay for. My hood has actually come up and smashed the windshield while I'm going down the road. I had to pay for a new windshield. And no, they don't usually take it all at once. They spread it over paychecks until it's paid off. You set an amount like $15 a month or $20 a month. But either way, we still had to pay for a lot of our own damages. Last question, question number 5. Why do cops shoot to kill? This one drives me insane because cops are never trained to shoot to kill. Cops are taught to shoot until a threat is down and no longer a threat. Whether that takes 1 bullet or 43 bullets, you continue until the threat's over with. Now, part B of that question is why do cops aim for the chest and head knowing that those are the deadliest areas to shoot? The chances of you actually hitting somebody's limbs instead of their midsection are slim to none. The other part of that is just because you shoot somebody in the toe does not stop a threat. If someone is actively shooting, you shooting them in the toe is not going to keep them from continuing to shoot. Once you've reached the level where you are authorized to use deadly force, that's the key word, guys, deadly force. Once you're authorized to use deadly force, why would you shoot them in the toe? Anyway, guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to do a private live stream for my Patreon subscribers either tonight or tomorrow. I haven't settled on that yet. Probably tomorrow. And then I'm going to do a public live stream for everybody sometime this weekend. So come join us for one of the live streams. If you are not a Patreon subscriber, I'm going to put a link in the description box below. You can sign up. You can have these private live streams. There's like 10 to 15 people in them. I try to answer all the questions. Or you're welcome to join us for the public live stream, but it's going to be a lot less one-on-one. Guys, one last thing I want to mention. Don't forget, if you have not already, check out blackriflecoffee.com. Use the promo code ThinBlueLine and you get 20% off all your orders. Check them out. Guys, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below and I will try my best to answer them accordingly. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and I will see you guys very, very soon.